it says there on that slide, was the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya before Lord Chaitanya's appearance. He had gone to Puri, where he was the Raj Pandit. Also, know that he was his brother, Madhusudan Vachaspati, was also there, and he moved to Benares, which we read about already. So here we are at chapter 15. No, that was correct. You had it at chapter 15. Yeah. No, no, sorry. You're right. Chapter 13. Excuse me. I apologize. There we go. There. No, no. There. Yeah. So you do have your walking shoes on? Good. All glories to Gauranga, Nityananda, and Gadadhar. All glories to Srivas, and all glories to Navadvip, the ocean of an ocean of Kirtan. Really. Coming to Vidyanagara, the place of knowledge, because I think you might have heard that this whole area of Navadvip was considered like the center of learning at that time, from a long time back. Something like given the Oxford of India. In Oxford, it's considered like the place of high education in England or Great Britain. So Vidyanagara, which is part on the Ritudweep Island, was considered the center of learning here, part of Navadvip. Coming to Vidyanagara, Sri Nityananda Roy explained to Sri Jiva its significance. At the time of Pralaya, Navadvip, the eternal Dham, remained situated in its pure form as an 8-petaled lotus. All the avatars and fortunate living entities stay in one part of the lotus at that time. Matsya Avatar carried the Vedas to Vidyanagara within Ritudvip. Since the Vedas, which contain all Vidya, or knowledge, were brought here, this place therefore is named Vidyanagar. When Brahma became inclined to start creation again, he glanced fearfully upon the devastated earth. At that time, the Lord bestowed his mercy on Brahma here. As Brahma began offering his prayers to the Lord, he opened his mouth, and the beautiful Saraswati was born from his tongue. By her potency, Brahma then offered prayers to Krishna and thus obtained great happiness. So there are two, at least recent, Matsya avatars. One was at between the two Manus, Priya's Chakshusha Manu and Vaivaswata Manu, and one was at the beginning of the Brahma's day, this first day when there were 7 Manus ago. So it's not specified here which of the two Manus is here. Brahma does creation at both times, but in between Manus, there's only a partial devastation. So up to the Earth planet, things are destroyed, and there has to be, or overcome with water, flooded, and Brahma must recreate at that time. At the time of creation, Maya directs the 3 gunas to spread throughout the material creation on the side of the Viraja river. The Rishis then labor, that's their work, to reveal knowledge within this universe manifested by Maya. Taking shelter of this abode of Saraswati, Sharada Pita, the Rishis conquer over ignorance. After having received lessons on the 64 branches of knowledge, the Rishis set themselves up at various places throughout the world, but all the Rishis study their respective branches of knowledge eternally at this holy place. Valmiki came here, and by the mercy of Narad received the Ramayana. Dhanvantari received the Ayurveda, and Vishvamitra and others received the teachings of the Dhanurveda. Shaunaka and the Rishis received the mantras of the Vedas, and Shiva discussed Tantra. On the Rishis' request, Brahma produced the 4 Vedas from his 4 mouths. Living here, Kapila created Sankhya philosophy, and Gautama brought forth logic and argument. Kanabhuk produced the Vaisheshik philosophy here. and Patanjali the Yoga Sutras. Jaimini wrote Karma Mimamsa Shastra here, and Vedvyas wrote the Puranas. The 5 rishis headed by Narad wrote the Pancharatra here to teach the people about practical devotional service. Do those various rishis and their philosophies ring any bells out there? Hello? No? There are 6 ancient Vedic philosophies or Vedic darshans. Like, for example, here you have Patanjali, and he's the Yoga Sutra, yoga. And then you have Karma Mimamsa by Jaimini, and Gautama, you have Naya, and Vyasadeva is a Vedanta darshan. So these are the six branches of Vedic knowledge. Kapila with Sankhya, they all were generated by rishis in this area. In this forest, the Upanishads all worshipped Gauranga for a long time. Unseen by them, Gauranga said, "Your understanding of God as formless, Nirakar, has spoiled you all. In the form of Shruti, you did not recognize me. But when you appear as my associates on earth, you will see my pastimes with your own eyes. At that time, you will sing my glories at the top of your voices." The Shrutis became dumbfounded on hearing this. Secretly, they stayed here waiting for that time. Blessed is this Kali Yuga, the topmost of yugas, for in this yuga, the Lord Gauranga appeared. Hearing that Gauranga would perform his educational pastimes here, Brihaspati, you know who Brihaspati is?
The spiritual master, the demigod.
Devas.
Yes. He's the guru of like Indra, etc. Devatas, yeah. Brihaspati took birth as Vasudeva Sarvabhauma and took great care to please the Lord. He knew that the Lord would perform pastimes as a student in Navadvipa, so he became indifferent and abandoned the abode of Lord Indra. He brought his associates and happily took birth on earth. Sarvabhauma made his school and taught here in Vidyanagar. But thinking that he would drown in the network of dry knowledge and lose Gauranga, he performed one pastime. Before Gauranga was born, Sarvabhauma left his students behind in Nadia. He thought, if I am the servant of Gauranga, he will certainly be merciful and come to me. Thus Sarvabhauma went to Nilachal and became powerful in the knowledge of Mayavad philosophy. The Lord enjoyed his pastimes as a young student here by defeating and deriding Sarvabhauma's pupils. In the guise of a logician, the Lord vanquished everyone. Teachers and students were all defeated in argument by Gauranga, and they would flee away from him. Whoever hears the unprecedented educational pastimes of the Lord in Vidyanagar will become free from ignorance. Hearing this, Jiva was filled with bliss and rolled on the ground in ecstatic love. Here at Vyas, he then submitted the following question at the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. Please cut down this one doubt. If Sankhya and logic are inauspicious, why do they have a place in the eternal Dham? Nityananda embraced Jiva and affectionately said, there is nothing inauspicious in the Lord's holy Dham. Sankhya and logic are not independent or powerful here. They are dependent and therefore serve bhakti. But due to impious activities, wicked men turn everything backwards. Bhakti, devotion, is the goddess here, and all others are her servants. They only serve to reveal bhakti. The residence of ninefold bhakti is Navadvipa. Here, karma and gyan serve bhakti. The scriptures award evil intelligence to materialistic persons, but the same scriptures award attachment for Krishna to the pure devotees. So that the recommendation or the teaching of Srila Rupa Goswami is to not regard, to not reject anything, not to take anything for sense gratification, but to use everything in Krishna service. That's called renunciation. So Sankhya, logic, they can all be used in service of understanding Krishna and service to Krishna, as mentioned here. Anasaktasya vishayan yatadhanupayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyamuchyate. Prauda Maya is the servant of Gauranga and presiding deity here. She stays here through all the yugas and serves Gauranga in the form of Mahamaya. She blinds and gives various miseries to that person who by his sinful activities has come to envy Vaishnavas. In the form of actual knowledge, Prauda Maya dissolves all sin and karma. But if one has offended a Vaishnava, she keeps him away and gives him all the troubles of karma. Such rogues may study to attain knowledge here in Nadia, but they never attain the treasure of prema at Krishna's feet. They attain only ignorance in the guise of knowledge, so they are never able to see the opulence of Nadia or Gauranga. So real knowledge is not inauspicious, but it is shadow ignorance. It's shadow ignorance certainly is. O Jiva, by the mercy of Gauranga, you will reveal all this. By the desire of the Lord, you will write scriptures. Through you, scripture will be revealed. Now, let us go to Janu's residence. Okay, we're going from what island to what island?
Ritudvip to
Janudvipa?
Janudvip.
Yes. Ritudvip to Janudvip. Okay, good. Very good. Okay. As Nityananda spoke, they went to Jannagar, where they saw the enchanting hermitage of Janu Muni. Nityananda Prabhu explained, this enchanting place named Janudvip is known as Bhadravan. At this place, Janu Muni underwent penances and received darshan of the golden form of Gauranga. Janu Muni was sitting here chanting his Gayatri mantra when his Achaman cup fell into the Bhagirati and was swept away. By the currents. He opened his mouth and drank all the water in one gulp. This is mystic power. King Bhagirath thought, where has the Ganges gone? He concluded that Janu Muni had drunk the Ganges. Yeah, that's why the Ganges, another name for the Ganges, is called Janavi. Janavi Tata Bone. In the Gaur Arti prayer, Janavi Tata means on the bank of the Ganges. In the Vane means in the forest on the bank of the Ganges. Jagamana Loba, the Arti for Lord Chaitanya is attracting all the universe. So Janu Muni on the Bhagirath had performed austerities to bring the Ganges to the earth, and Lord Shiva had agreed to take the inundation of the water on his head, and the Ganges, Mother Ganges, had agreed that, well, when great sages come, they'll purify her water, so she agreed to come. So on the way, from when she came down into the Himalayas at Gangotri, she was on her way to the Ganga Sagara, the area where the Ganges meets the Bay of Bengal. Janu Muni stopped her progress. That's what's mentioned here. And the details are a little bit not mentioned specifically, but here we're finding details. So the king was overwhelmed with anxiety and worshipped the Muni for several days. The Muni then released the Ganges from his body. Because of this incident, the Ganges is known as Janavi, the daughter of Janu, throughout the world. Sometime later, Bhishma, the son of Ganga, came here to see Janu, his grandfather. Janu was very pleased with Bhishma and kept him here many days. At this place, Bhishma learned the highest knowledge, which he in turn taught to Yudhishthira at Kurukshetra. By living in Navadvipa, Bhishma attained devotional service and therefore is counted amongst the great Vaishnavas. Well, who are those great Vaishnavas? The 12 Mahajans, right? 12 Mahajans. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumar, Kapila, Mano, Prahlad, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Vyasaki, Vayam. Therefore, this Dvip is the greatest deliverer. Whoever lives here is always fortunate. So Bhishma was instructed here. That day, Nityananda and his associates stayed at a devotee's house in Janudvip. Early the next morning, the Lord led the devotees onto Modadrum Dvip. Bhaktivinoda, whose only pride is the lotus feet of Janava and Nitai, sings the glories of Navadvipa. So now we've crossed through Janudvip and we're on to Modadrum Dvip. Yeah. Chapter, is that 14, is it? Yes. Description of Sri Modadrum Dvip and Ram Leela. All glories to God Hari, who has manifested himself as the Pancha Tattva. All glories to Navadvip Dham, the topmost abode. Arriving, now we're going at Modadrum Dvip, right? Arriving at Mamagachi village, Nityananda explained to Jiva, here in Modadrum Dvip in Ayodhya is in a previous kalpa when Ram was banished to the forest, he came to this place with Lakshman and Janaki. So why does it say in a previous kalpa? Anybody know? Kalpa, day of Brahma.
Ramchandra has come many times in different.
Yes. Very good. Yeah, he doesn't just come once. Exactly. Okay. And one thing to note, we'll see, is this Mamagachi village is a little bit famous because it was the birthplace of the author of the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur. Just to note, we'll see that later. He built a hut under a huge banyan tree here and lived happily for some time. Seeing the effulgence of Navadvip, the son of Raghu began to slightly smile. How attractive was that form? Green as new grass, with lotus eyes and a graceful bow in hand. So sometimes when Lord Ramchandra comes, he's in green as new grass, and sometimes he's in a little bit darker complexion. Wearing the dress of a brahmachari and his head piled with matted locks, he stole the minds of all living entities. Seeing Ram smiling, Sita, the daughter of Janak, asked him the reason. Listen, Sita. Here is one very secret story. When the glorious age of Kali advents, I will display a yellow complexion form here in Nadia. I will take birth in the womb of Sachi in Jagannath Mishra's house. I will give all the fortunate souls who see my childhood pastimes the supreme gift of prema. At that time, I will enjoy my beloved educational pastimes and reveal the glories of the holy name. I will then take sannyas and go to Puri, and my own mother will weep with my wife in her arms. Sachi and Vishnupriya Devi. Hearing this, Sita asked, "Oh, lotus-eyed one, why will you make your mother cry? Why will you give up your wife and take sannyas? What happiness is there in giving sorrow to your wife?" This is sort of a pertinent question because Sita is Ram's wife, right? Which there was some separation there as well. Sri Ram replied, "Oh, dear one, you know everything, but you are acting ignorant just to teach the living entities. Listen, Sita, my devotees relish prema bhakti in two ways. In union with me, they enjoy sambhog, and in separation from me, they enjoy vipralambha. My eternal associates desire sambhog, but I mercifully give them vipralambha. The devotees know that distress due to separation from me is actually the topmost bliss. After separation, when union occurs, they feel happiness so much greater than before, 1,000,000 times multiplied. that is the explanation of how there can be happiness in separation. You should accept this mood which is described in the 4 Vedas. She who is known as Aditi in the Vedas is now Mother Kaushalya and will become Mother Shachi in Gauranga's pastimes. And you, Sita, will serve me as Vishnu Priya. In separation, you will worship my deity and spread my glories. Separated from you, I will worship a goddess Sita deity in Ayodhya. But this topic is very confidential, Sita. Do not reveal this to the people now. This Navadvipa is my dear place. Even Ayodhya is not equal to it. When Kali Yuga comes, this huge banyan tree, Ram Bhat, will disappear and from vision and stay here in an unmanifest form. In this way, Ram passed his time here with Lakshman and Sita. Later, he went to Dandakaranya to complete his activities. See here the place where his hut stood. So Ram was living there with Sita and Lakshman on Modadumdvip. By the desire of the Lord, Ram's friend, Guhaka, took birth here in a Brahmin's family. His name was Sadananda Vipra Bhattacharya. He knew nothing in the 3 worlds except Ram. He was present in Jagannath Mishra's house when Gauranga was born. At that time, all the demigods came to see the child. The exalted Sadananda realized by the demigod's presence that his Lord had taken birth. In great delight, he returned home, and while meditating on his worshipable Lord Ramchandra, he saw Gaur-Sundar. Lord Gauranga was seated on a throne and surrounded by the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, who were waving chamaras. This is also similar to the part of the Gaur Arti song, where it says they're offering Arti Korena Brahma, Adi Deva Gane, like that. Then Sadananda saw Ramchandra green as grass. On Ram's right was Lakshman, the abode of Anant. On his left was Sita, and in front was Hanuman. Seeing this, the Vipra understood the truth about the Lord. Because all incarnations are present within Krishna, and Gauranga and Krishna are the same. Yeah, just different in mood. The Vipra went to Mayapur in great ecstasy, and unseen by anyone, he feasted his eyes on the form of Gauranga. Blessed am I, blessed indeed. Ramchandra is present before me as Gaurchandra. Later, when the Sankirtan movement started, Sadananda took part by dancing and chanting the name of Gaur. O Jiva, here the pure devotees see the Bambira forest. Hearing the topics and seeing the places in the eternal Dham, the devotees surrounded Nityananda and danced. Jiva's body displayed symptoms of ecstasy as he shouted the name of Gauranga. That day, Nityananda stayed in the house of Narayani, that's Vrindavan Das Thakur's mom. And Narayani, the pure chaste mother of Vedvyas, Vrindavan Das Thakur, served the Vaishnavas. The next morning, after walking some distance, they entered Vaikuntapur. To carry out the order of Janava and Nitai, this worthless wretch sings the glories of Nadia. Chapter 15. Do we have is Bhakti Sean there reading or no?
Hare Krishna, I'm driving right now, so it probably wouldn't work out too well.
No problem.
Sorry.
No problem. All glories to Gauranga, the Panchatattva, all glories to Navadvipa, the abode of Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya. Coming to Vaikuntapur, Nityananda Prabhu spoke to Sri Jiva while mildly smiling. On one side of the 8-petaled Navadvipa is this Vaikuntapur. Listen without doubt. This is Vaikunta, the abode of Narayan, situated in the spiritual sky beyond the Viraja river. Maya can never enter this place, where Lord Narayan is served by his energies Shri, Bhu, and Nila. The effulgence radiating from this spiritual abode is the Brahman. With material vision, people see only the material world, but with his transcendental vision, Narada once saw Narayan manifest as Gaur Sundar in this spiritual abode. After seeing this, the best of the Munis stayed here for some time. There is one more confidential story. Ramanujacharya once came to Puri and pleased the Lord with many prayers. Jagannath appeared before him and said, "Go and see Navadvipa Dham, for I will soon appear there in the house of Jagannath Mishra." The entire spiritual sky is situated within one corner of Navadvipa. My very dear abode, as my eternal servant and leading devotee, you should see Navadvipa. Let your students, who are absorbed in Dasyaras, stay here while you go. Any living being who does not see Navadvipa has been born uselessly. Ooh. Just one portion of Navadvipa contains Rangakshetra, Sri Venkata, Tirupati, and Yadavachal. O son of Keshav, go to Navadvipa and see the form of Gauranga. You have come to the earth to preach bhakti, so let your birth be successful with the mercy of Gaur. From Navadvipa, then go to Kurbastan and join again with your disciples. With folded hands, Ramanuja submitted to Jagannath. In your narration, you have mentioned Gaurachandra, but exactly who he is, I don't know. The Lord mercifully replied to Ramanuja, everyone knows Krishna, the Lord of Golok, but that Krishna, whose Vilas Murti is Narayan, is the supreme truth, and he resides in Vrindavan. That same Krishna, is fully manifest in the form of Gaurhari, and that Vrindavan is fully manifest in the form of Navadvipa Dham. I eternally reside as Lord Gauranga in Navadvipa, the topmost abode in the universe. By my mercy, that Dham has come within Bhuvandal, yet it remains without a scent of Maya. This is the verdict of Scripture. If you say that Navadvipa is part of the material world, then your devotion will dwindle day by day. I have placed this spiritual abode within the material world by my desire and inconceivable energy. Simply by reading scriptures, one will not get the highest truth, for the highest truth surpasses all reasoning power. Only the devotees can understand my mercy. Hearing this, the sober-minded Ramanuja was agitated with love for Gauranga. He said, Lord, your pastimes are truly astounding. The scriptures cannot know your opulences. Why isn't Gauranga Leela clearly described in the scriptures? When I closely examine the Shrutis and Puranas, I find only some hint of Gaur Tattva. But after hearing your instructions, my doubts are gone, and the sweet mellows of Gauranga's pastimes have arisen in my heart. If you order me, after going to Navadvipa, I will preach Gaur Leela throughout the three worlds. I will give people evidence from the hidden scriptures and establish devotional service to Gauranga throughout the universe. Please instruct me. Seeing Ramanuja's eagerness, Jagannath said, Ramanuja, do not broadcast like this. Keep the confidential pastimes of Gauranga secret. Only after Gauranga has finished his pastimes will the general public receive them. For now, preach Dasyaras, while in your heart worship Gauranga constantly. Taking the Lord's advice, Ramanuja secretly cultured his attraction for Navadvipa. So that Gauranga's pastimes were not revealed prematurely, Lord Narayan then led Ramanuja here to Vaikuntapur and mercifully showed Ramanuja his transcendental form, served by Sri, Bhu, and Nila. Ramanuja considered himself fortunate to obtain darshan of his worshipable Lord, when suddenly he saw the Lord assume the enchanting form of Gorsundar, the son of Jagannath Mishra. Ramanuja swooned at the brilliance of the form. Then Gauranga put his lotus feet on the head of Ramanuja, who was thus divinely inspired. I can't see that top of that page there. And recited prayers of praise. I must see Gaura's actual Leela on earth. I can never leave Navadvipa. Gauranga said, O son of Keshava, your desire will be fulfilled. When the Nadia pastimes will be revealed in the future, you will take birth here again. Gauranga disappeared, and Ramanuja, contented, resumed his journey. After some days, he arrived at Kurukstan and saw the place with his disciples. During his life, he preached Dasyaras throughout South India, while internally he was absorbed in Gaur Leela. By Gauranga's mercy, he took birth in Navadvipa as the devotee Sri Ananta or Ananta Acharya. He went to Vallabhacharya's house and saw the marriage of Lakshmi Priya and Gauranga. See here the house of Ananta, where many devotees of Narayan gathered. It is well known that the kings of that time established Narayan worship here. As the devotees saw Nishreyasa forest situated on the other side of the Viraja river, they attained unlimited bliss. In this way, while reciting these narrations, they arrived at Mahatpur. Nityananda explained, this place is Kamyavan of Vraja. See it with great devotion. There were 5 banyan trees here in ancient times, but these have now disappeared. This place is now called Matapura, but according to scripture, the name was previously Mahatpur. When the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi were living incognito during exile, they came to Godadesh, Bengal. Maybe some of you knew that. There was Ekachakra, which is north of Navadvipa there. While in Ekachakra, Yudhishthira Maharaj had a dream in which the glories of Navadvipa were revealed to him. The next day he became anxious to see the place, so they all happily came here. Seeing the splendor of Nadia, they praised the good fortune of the residents, and while living here for some time, they killed many demons. See, here is Yudhishthira Tila, and here is Draupadi's Kund. This is aware of the glories of this place. Yudhishthira stayed here for some time. Then one day in a dream, he saw Gauranga, whose extraordinary form illuminated all directions. So who saw Gauranga in a dream?
Maharaj Yudhishthira.
Yeah. Smiling, Gauranga said, see my rare form. At your house, I am Krishna, the son of Nanda, and I always stay with you as a friend. This Navadvipa Dham is the topmost abode, and in Kali Yuga it will manifest and drive away all darkness. As you have all been my servants for a long time, when my pastimes take place, you will take birth. I will stay with you day and night on the shore of the ocean of Jagannath Puri in Orissa. Please go now to Orissa, purify the place, and eliminate the sufferings of the living entities. Do you know who they took birth as? It's not mentioned here.
Ramananda Rai's father.
And Ramananda Rai he had 5 brothers.
He had 5 brothers. Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Yudhishthira, 4 brothers, 5 total, right? Yudhishthira explained this dream to his brothers. After deliberation, they all went to Orissa. It was painful to leave Navadvipa, but the order of the Lord had to be obeyed. Madhva and his disciples also stayed here for some time. Gorsundar mercifully appeared to him in a dream, and while smiling said, everyone knows that you are my eternal servant. When I appear in Navadvipa, I will accept your sampradaya. Now, go everywhere and carefully uproot all the false scriptures of the Mayavadis. Reveal the glories of worshiping the deity of the Lord, and later I will broadcast your pure teachings. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur informs us that from each of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, Lord Chaitanya adopted 2 qualities or teachings. From the Madhva Sampradaya, he adopted complete defeat of Mayavad philosophy and the supreme importance of worshiping the deity of the Lord as the absolute truth. Saying this, Gaurachandra disappeared and Madhva awakened dumbfounded. "Will I ever see that beautiful golden form again?" he cried. In reply, a voice from the sky said, "Worship me secretly and you will come to me." With this instruction, Madhva went on with great resolution and defeated the Mayavadi philosophers. While relating these stories, the party arrived at Rudradvip and looked around. Okay, this is we're coming to Rudradvip. We just passed Modadrumdvip, but I didn't get any information about why it's called Modadrumdvip. Maybe we'll find out later. Rudradvip has been cut in 2 pieces by the Ganges. See how this western island has now moved to the east bank. Yeah, that's what happened. By the Lord's desire, no one lives on this side now. Yeah, so they're on the east bank. Yeah. From here, Sri Shankarpur. Even from a distance, you see how it beautifies the bank of the Ganges. When Shankaracharya went out to defeat all opponents on his way to Navadvipa, he first arrived there. Within his heart, he was the topmost Vaishnava, but externally, he played the role of a Mayavadi, a servant of Maya. Actually, he was an incarnation of Shiva, and by the Lord's order, he expertly preached a covered form of Buddhism. While engaged in this way, he came to Nadia. When Shankaracharya came to this place, Gaurachandra appeared to him in a dream and mercifully spoke to him in sweet words. "You are my servant. Following my orders, you are preaching effectively the Mayavad doctrine, but as you come to Navadvipa is very dear to me, the Mayavad philosophy has no place here. On my behalf, Vriddha Shiva and Prodhamaya spread the imaginary impersonal interpretations of scriptures, but only to those people who envy the devotees of the Lord. In this way, I cheat them. Since this Navadvip Dham is generally a place for my devotees, not for the envious, you should go somewhere else. Do not contaminate the inhabitants of Navadvip." Realizing this truth about Navadvip in his dream and with devotion instilled in his heart, he went elsewhere. In this Rudradvip, the 11 Rudras reside, headed by Nila Lohita Shiva. The Rudras chant Gauranga's glories and constantly dance in bliss. As the demigods watch their dancing, they become happy and shower flowers from the sky. Another name, sometimes the name is given to Krishna and sometimes it's given to Lord Shiva, is Nataraj, yeah, the great dancer, yeah, the king of dancing, yes. Yeah, and Gaura Nataraj is also, but so Lord Shiva is following, his Lord is also a wonderful dancer. One time, Vishnu Swami, that's the Rudra Sampradaya, came here during the course of his tour to defeat opposing philosophies. He stayed the night with his followers here in Rudradvip. The disciples began dancing and singing Hari Bol, while Vishnu Swami recited prayers from Shruti. Pleased by the discussion of bhakti, Nila Lohita mercifully appeared there. Upon Shiva's arrival in the assembly, Vishnu Swami became startled. He folded his hands in prayer and recited appropriate praises. Shiva spoke to him. "All of you Vaishnavas are dear to me. Your discussion on devotional service has pleased me. As a boon, ask any boon and I will grant it. There is nothing I will not give to the Vaishnavas." Vishnu Swami offered his dandavats and filled with ecstatic love, he said, "Give us this one gift that henceforth we will be perfect. We will perfect a sampradaya teaching devotional service." In great bliss, Rudra consented and named the sampradaya after himself. Thus, Vishnu Swami's sampradaya is called the Rudra Sampradaya, and with the mercy of Rudra, Vishnu Swami stayed here and worshipped Gaurachandra with a desire to attain love of God. Gauranga appeared to him in a dream and said, "By Rudra's mercy, you have become my devotee." Vishnu Swami, right? "You are fortunate to attain the treasure of bhakti in Navadvipa. Now you go out and preach the philosophy of Shuddhadvait, purified monism. The time of my appearance on earth will soon come, and at that time, you will appear in the form of Sri Vallabha Bhatta. You will meet me in Puri, and you will perfect your sampradaya when you go to Mahavan. Vallabha, that's the Pushti mark. That's Pushti mark. O Jiva, Sri Vallabha is now in Gokul. When you go there, you will be able to see him." Vallabhacharya went there. Saying this, Nityananda happily went south to Paradanga in Sri Pulina. Here he showed the place where Sri Rasa Mandala and Dhira Shamira of Raja were located. He said, "O Jiva, this is Vrindavan. One can see the Vrindavan pastimes here." Upon hearing the word Vrindavan, Jiva began trembling and tears flowed from his eyes. The Lord continued, "Gauranga brought his devotees here and they performed kirtan, describing the Ras Lila. The place of the Ras Lila in Vrindavan is situated here on the bank of the Ganges. This is in Rudradvip. The Ras Lila pastimes with the gopis, which are eternally enacted here, are sometimes seen by fortunate persons. Listen, sober-minded one. West of here, see Sri Dhir Samira, a nice place for worship of the Lord. In Vrindavan, Dhir Shamira is situated on the bank of the Jamuna, and here it lies on the bank of the Ganges. Actually, what you see, however, is not the bank of the Ganges, but that of Jamuna, because it flows on the western side of the Ganges. You know, where the Ganges and Jamuna come together, where? Where do the Ganges and Jamuna come together?
Benares?
No.
In Prayag?
That's right, Prayag. And when they come together, you see the different colors of water. The Ganges is kind of yellowish, and the Jamuna is kind of darkest. So that's they, according to here, at least at this time, they're staying a little bit separate. Which flows, as this beautiful Pulina lies on the bank of Jamuna, Vishvambar there calls this place Vrindavan. You should know that all the pastime places of Vrindavan are situated within this place. Make no distinction between Vrindavan and Navadvipa, nor between Gauranga and Krishna. In this way, overwhelmed with ecstatic love, Nityananda Roy took Jiva and showed him around Vrindavan. Then, heading some distance to the north, they spent the night in Rudradvip. And with the lotus feet of Nitai and Janava on as my only wealth, Bhakti Vinod sings the glorification of Nadia. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. There's one more chapter here before there's the last chapter is questions from Jiva Goswami, but we're doing the Parikrama. Shall we read this last chapter?
Haribo. Yes.
Hare Krishna, I can read now. I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, great. Good. Yeah. This is the last chapter of the Parikrama before they return to Mayapur, Antardvip, Mayapur. Good.
Okay, chapter 16. Bilvapaksha and Bharadwaj Tila. All glories to Sri Gaurachandra, the wanderer of Nadia's groves. All glories to Sri Nityananda, the master of Ekachakra. All glories to Advaita Ishvara, the master of Shantipur. All glories to Gadadhar of Ramachandrapura. And all glories to Gauri Bhumi, the essence of Chintanami, where Krishna wandered in Kali Yuga. The son of Padmavati, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, after crossing the Ganges and going some distance, said to the devotees, "See this attractive place named Bilvapaksha. Generally, people call it Bela Pukaria or Belpukara. The place known in the scriptures is as Bilavavana in Vraj is situated here in Navadvipa. One time, some Brahmin devotees of Shiva worshipped him by offering the leaves of his favorite tree, the Bilava or Bael tree, for a fortnight's duration. Shiva was pleased with the Brahmanas and gave them Krishna Bhakti. Amongst those worshippers was Nimbaditya, who had been very attentive in the worship. Shiva spoke to him. At the edge of this village is a sacred Bilva forest. Within that forest, the four Kumaras are sitting in meditation. By their mercy, you will receive transcendental knowledge. They are your gurus. By serving them, you will receive all that is of value. Saying this, Lord Shiva disappeared. Nimbaditya searched and found that place. On an attractive platform in the forest near Shiva, he saw the four brothers, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar, sitting unseen by others. They were young, naked, and noble in character. Hold on. Okay. Nimbarka cried out in excitement, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. On hearing the holy name, the Kumara's meditation broke. They opened their eyes and saw before them an ideal Vaishnav. Satisfied by this sight, one after another, they embraced Nimbaditya. Who are you? They asked. Why have you come here? We will certainly fulfill your prayers. Nimbarka offered his obeisances and humbly introduced himself. Sanat Kumar smiled and said, knowing that Kali Yuga would be very troublesome, the all-merciful Supreme Lord decided to propagate devotional service. He empowered four men with devotional service and sent them into the world to preach. Ramanuja, Madhva, and Vishnu Swami are three of these men. You are the fourth of these great devotees. Sri Lakshmi accepted Ramanuja, Brahma accepted Madhvacharya, Rudra accepted Vishnu Swami, and we, meeting you today, have the good fortune to teach you. This is our intention. Previously, we were engaged in meditating on the Brahman, but by the Lord's mercy, that sinful act has gone away. Now that I know the sweet taste of pure devotional service, I have written one book named Sanat Kumar Samhita. You should receive initiation into its teachings. Seeing his guru's mercy, the wise Nimbarka quickly took his bath in the Ganges and returned. He offered obeisances and humbly said, O deliverer of the fallen, please deliver this low rascal. The four brothers gave him the Radha Krishna mantra and instructed him how to worship Radha and Krishna filled with sentiment of great love, called Bhav Marg. Having obtained that mantra, Nimbaditya resided at this sacred place and worshipped according to the injunctions of that Samhita. Radha and Krishna bestowed their mercy by appearing before Nimbarka. Lighting up all directions and gently smiling, they said, you are very fortunate. You have performed sadhana in Navadvipa, our dear abode. Here we take on one form as the son of Sachidevi. While saying this, they combined in one form as Gauranga. Nimbarka was astounded on seeing that form and exclaimed, never have I seen or heard of such a remarkable form anywhere. Mahaprabhu said, please keep this form secret now. Just preach Krishna Bhakti in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, for I am very happy in those pastimes. When I appear as Gauranga, I will enjoy educational pastimes. At that time, you will take birth in Kashmir and tour India as a champion scholar, out to defeat all opponents. Your name will be Keshava Kashmiri, and you will be celebrated everywhere for your great learning. While wandering on tour, you will come to Mayapur. The learned scholars of Navadvipa will flee when they hear your name. But I will be intoxicated with learning and take pleasure in defeating you. I can't see the very top of the page. You can scroll down. There you go. By the mercy of Saraswati, you will realize my identity. Give up your pride and take shelter of me. Then I will give you the gift of bhakti and send you out to preach devotional service again. So you can satisfy me now by preaching the philosophy of Dvaita.
Dvait,
Yes.
one and different.
Monism and dualism, keeping my identity secret. Later, when I begin the Sankirtana movement, I myself will preach the essence of the four Vaishnava philosophies. From Madhva, I will receive two essential items: his complete defeat of the Mayavad philosophy and his service to the deity of Krishna. Accepting the deity as an eternal spiritual being, from Ramanuja, I will accept two great teachings: the concept of bhakti unpolluted by karma and jnana, and service to the devotees. From Vishnu Swami's teaching, I will accept two main elements: the sentiment of exclusive dependence on Krishna and the path of Rag Bhakti. And from you, I will receive two excellent principles: the necessity of taking shelter of Radha and the high esteem for the gopis' love of Krishna. When Gaurachandra disappeared, Nimbarka wept out of love. After worshipping the feet of his gurus, he left for preaching Krishna Bhakti. Nityananda then pointed out to Jiva in the distance Ramtirtha, where Lord Balaram killed the Kolashuddha demon, and then took bath with the Yadus. This place is now known as Rukmapura, and it is situated on one end of the Navadvipa Parikrama. During the month of Kartik, this place is especially glorious. Leaving behind Bilvapaksha, Nityananda Prabhu and the devotees went up to Bharadwaj Tila village. Nityananda explained, after seeing Ganga Sagara, Bharadwaja Muni came to this place. The great Muni stayed here for some days and worshipped Lord Gaurachandra. Satisfied by the worship, Lord Vishvambara mercifully appeared before the Muni and said to him, "Your desire will be fulfilled when I advent. You will see me." After speaking these words, the Lord disappeared, and Bharadwaja fainted in great ecstasy. After staying on this hill for some days, the Muni departed to see other tirthas. The common people call this place Baruidanga. The scriptures consider this a major tirtha. While speaking these topics, they returned to Mayapur, where Ishana Thakur came forward to welcome them back. Nityananda Prabhu, in unprecedented prema, danced and sang amongst the devotees. That day, in the house of Jagannath Mishra, the best of all holy places, where Gauranga appeared with the holy name, the Lord's own mother fed the Vaishnavas. How to describe the bliss at that place? The sound of the kirtan resounded loudly. Desiring the shade of the feet of Nitai and Janava, Bhaktivinod sings these pastimes of Navadvipa.
Navadvipa Dhama ki jai. All glories to Navadvipa Dham. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Jiva Goswami. So we've completed the tour of Navadvipa. To make it fully complete, request that on Sunday you tune in to the Mayapur TV to get a darshan of Mayapur, Shri Radha Madhav, and the Panchatattva there to make the whole Parikrama complete. But so thank you very much, everyone, for attending and
Quick question
traversing.
for you, Vishnuvidha Prabhu.
Yes.
Why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu address Ramanuj? I guess that's Ramanujacharya, right?
Yes.
Why did he address him as son of Keshav?
I suppose that I didn't check that out. I don't know. I could research it and find out. It might be his father.
Oh, okay.
Do you know his father's name? No. Okay. Well, it could be a son of Krishna also, but I don't know. Have to research that. Sorry.
Okay.
Good question.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you all very much. I don't know if Dronacharya Prabhu was going to say something.
Thank you.
First, I wanted to thank you, Vishnuvidha Prabhu, for leading us in this parikrama. And through that, I think this was very relishable by the devotees. The attendance of the devotees that went on this parikrama with us was very encouraging. And I hope this is this helps in your absorption in Lord Chaitanya. Other activities that we invite you to participate in. Tomorrow afternoon, there'll be Harinam Sankirtan at Rittenhouse Square, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So congregational chanting of the holy names, as we read about here. You know, this is the Yuga Dharma and a way to bring about love of God, not just to us, but also to society in general. And we have Gaur Purnima Festival. Here, we'll be celebrating here at ISKCON Philadelphia. Starting at 10 o'clock, there'll be 8-hour kirtan, and then there'll be a drama, abhishek, discourse on Lord Chaitanya, arti, prasadam. So this year, because it's COVID, we're just asking you to help us in organizing it by letting us know when you're going to be coming. So in the newsletter came out last night, or an email came out last night. Again, I'll put it in the newsletter tonight. There's a sign-up form. If you can let us know when you're coming, there's only a certain amount of slots that are available per half hour. We have to keep everything socially distanced. It's going to be a wonderful festival. We just ask that you help us in making us know when you'll be arriving. Okay. With that, again, we want to offer our thanks and gratitude to Vishnuvidha Prabhu for this journey. All glories to Sri Nityananda Ram, all glories to Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Vishnuvidha
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
everyone.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So somebody wrote in the chat that the name of Ramanujacharya's father is Keshava Somaj.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Sita, for looking at it.